Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is going to be another in my RHCE practice session series where I'm preparing for the Red Hat Certified Engineer exam. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite everyone who's watching, if you have not subscribed, to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do, so you can be aware of when new content is available. Also, if you enjoy the video, make sure you don't forget to click like and feel free to share with others that might find it useful as well. In this video, I'm going to look at the last of the objectives within the install and configure an Ansible control node, and that is the manage parallelism objective. Before I get started, I do want to remind you that this is not intended to be an authoritative source of information, nor is this intended to be a tutorial. Rather, this is an opportunity for me to work on the objective manage parallelism and see whether or not I feel confident about it. And ideally, at the end of the video, I'll say yes if I were to deal with tasks on the exam about the objective, in this case manage parallelism, then I'm good to go. If not, then I add this to my list of things I need to shore up between now and about 3 weeks from now when I have my exam. All that being said, I do try to have the information as accurate as possible, and also if I run into problems with any of these objectives, you might find my methods of troubleshooting it useful for your own study. I might have a way of solving a problem that you haven't thought of, and so perhaps this will be useful for you in your own studies as well. So getting into it, let me log into my control node. All right, got the password on the first try, means this is going to be a good video. Now, I have made several more hosts in my lab, and they're all Fedora hosts because technically I can't have more than 16 RHEL systems with the developer subscription. So, and what I'm going to do, Fedora is going to be perfectly fine. But the concept of parallelism is managing how many things Ansible is doing at one time. So let's go into the default configuration file for a moment. So we'll go to etc Ansible and vi ansible.cfg. And under the defaults, you're going to see a setting for forks. Forks tells Ansible how many hosts to try to affect at one time. And so by default, we have forks equaling 5. So let's do this. So we're going to quit out of this and go back to our home directory, and I'm going to edit my local Ansible config file. We're going to add forks equals 5. So this is matching what the default is. And so what I mean by this forks equals 5 is I'm going to make, actually let's see, can I do this? I don't think I have to do a playbook for this. This will still work. So let's do an Ansible ad hoc command. We're going to add a test user to all of our lab servers here. So we're going to do Ansible all the user module. The arguments name, we're just going to call it test user 01, and state is going to be present. We're going to become, and I'm going to have it ask both my SSH password as well as the become password because I have it configured key-based authentication yet, and you have to become for this because otherwise this is going to fail because obviously it takes a privileged account to be able to create users. So it should prompt us for some passwords. And let's see what happens. All right, so notice how it's paused at 04. All right, and then it paused again at 010. And it's complaining about deprecation. These are just defaults of 34, so I might not have the exact best version of Python to use for that, but that's fine. But notice how you had these little pauses basically every 5 hosts that it tried to work with. And that's because of the forks parameter. And probably a better way to show this is actually using the playbook because this gives a little more output than what we're wanting, and you can see it with the gather facts for that. So let's make testplay.yml. So we'll do add a user, and we'll do hosts all become yes, and tasks, call it name, create a new user module, name test user 02, state present. All right, and this is going to be much more noticeable. So test play dash KK should give us what we want. Yep, SSH password, and then the become password will be that. And see how the gathering facts did 4, which is curious. I have forks equaling 5, but that's fine. And then, okay, so there's 5 there. Then another set. And then another set. Now it's going to go through the tasks. And it's doing the create new user task for those first 4, on and on and on. So I'm actually going to, well, we'll let it finish. I'll skip ahead in the video. Well, actually it got done pretty quick. Cool. So now let's go into our ansible.cfg and let's change this forks to 10 because I have a total of 20 hosts. So we'll do forks equals 10 and let's change our test play. We'll do test user 3 this time. And let's run our playbook once again. All right, notice how this time the gathering facts went, it did 2 blocks of 10. Now, 5 is a pretty conservative number. If you have an environment where you have, hundreds or thousands of nodes and you're doing this little chunks of 5 at a time, it'll probably take forever for your playbook to work. So you're obviously going to need to optimize your Ansible control node for your environment, which usually means raising that forks to greater than 5. But the way that you would do that is by the forks setting in Ansible config. Now, the thing I'm curious about is, could I set this within the playbook itself? I'm not 100% sure of that. So when in doubt, let's try it. And as I mentioned on a lot of my videos, I encourage you to try things and break things so that way you can kind of see what would happen. So first, let's go into our Ansible.config file, even though this really shouldn't be an issue because local stuff would overwrite that, but I just wanted to comment that out real quick. Let's do our test play again, and let's see if forks is a thing that we can add. Oh, don't want to do that at the tasks level. Do forks 10, and we'll do test user 04 now. Let's see, error, name, Oh, forks is not a valid attribute for a play. All right, so I suppose that is not. I wonder, though, if there is a way to see what are all the valid attributes for a play within the built-in documentation. So, when in doubt, Ansible doc -L, and actually, let's just do Ansible doc. Because I wonder if there are plugin types that would be able to work for us. Probably not. All right, so I'm just curious, L and play, or maybe there's, I don't want to use the docs.ansible.com because I'm still not 100% sure that, that's going to be available to me on the exam. Obviously, this is something that I would want to spend a little bit of time on just to see if it's something that I can set within a playbook. On the exam, I would probably just do it via configuration file. I do know that you can set forks via Ansible-playbook, the command. So let's see. Let's see what happens with Ansible doc L fork. It's probably not going to be anything for that. Yeah, that was not smart. Let's try this again. Grep. Let's just grep for play. There might be a document there that will, let's see, import playbook. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be documentation available to me for that. But actually running at the command line Ansible playbook, so let's go back into our test play. And we're going to get rid of forks. And we'll do Ansible playbook, I believe it's -F or maybe -forks. Let's take a look at the man page just to make sure. Yeah, -F. All right, so manages parallel processes used, defaults 5. Okay, so let's do this. Ansible playbook test play -F. We're going to do, let's do 15 and become, or sorry, it has become in that, and then we'll do our Ks for the authentication. And there we go. And notice how quickly it's chugging through the gathering of facts and such. So we could probably have set this to 20, and then this would be, you know, perfectly fine with doing its thing. So the next thing that I want to show you is how separate tasks are done. So let's expand our test play. And so we're going to do user 5, and let's do another task. This task is going to be name, you know, just do ping. That would be kind of interesting. So ping the server. Of course, these are kind of nonsense little tasks. Ping, and let's see. Let's do another task. And we're going to do this, say a phrase. We'll use good old debug for this. Do message and hello. And let's do another task. This one, let's see. We'll say, what should we do? So we'll say display a variable. And we'll do debug again, var. This will be Ansible facts. And let's see, what should we do? I think there's one that's all IPv4. No, is that what I want? Well, it's going to complain if there's not a fact for that probably. So let's do this. I think it's called all IPv4 addresses. And we'll do error. Is it errors or errors action? Let's see. I just forgot what that is. Man, that bothers me. Oh, what is it? I'm thinking PowerShell for error action. Ignore errors. That's what I'm looking for. Ignore errors. Yes. All right. So now we have 4 different tasks that our playbook's going to do. And let's see what happens. So Ansible playbook, test play, and we're going to go back to, well, it's the default, but we'll still do that. 5 forks. We will do, actually, no, let's do 20. I want them to do all at the same time. And we'll become, which that's actually already in that, and we'll do our password. Let's see how this works. So we're doing all 20 at the same time, and let's see what happens with the tasks. So it gathered facts for all 20. So it does the first task, create new user. All right, so it's doing the task. It's doing the first task to all 20 servers, then the next task to all 20 servers. Oh, that was a parameter. Excellent. So we have single tasks at a time. Let's run this one more time, and we're going to do back to 5 forks. Let's see what happens. And so if I'm correct, what this is going to do is in groups of 5, do each of the individual tasks all the way through each group of 5 server. Actually, I may have not said that right. For the first group of 5, it's going to do all of the, oh no, that's not how it's doing it. Oh, that's curious. I was thinking it will do task 1 for the first group of 5, task 2 for the first group of 5, task 3 for the first group of 5, but no, what it's doing is task 1 for group of 5, group of 5, group of 5, and on and on and on. All right, that's kind of good to know. Now there's one other thing, if I remember correctly, and I believe the parameter is something called serial, and that works with how many tasks are handled per group of hosts. Now I might be misremembering that, and if I am, feel free to put that in the comments. Because again, this is kind of my little review session to see how much am I remembering for my exam. This will be definitely something that I want to look over before the exam in a few weeks. But let's try this. So test play, and I'm going to do 0.6. I believe serial was what I'm looking for, and we're going to do serial 2. Let's see if this does what I think. And we'll keep the forks at 5. Okay, so what this is doing is This is what I was doing. This is doing what I was trying to describe earlier. So for every 2 hosts, it's going through all of the tasks, even though forks is set to 5. So it could connect to, up to 5 hosts, but I'm specifically saying do all of the tasks 2 hosts at a time. So that's a little bit different than the actual connection number. So we're going to let this finish, and if it takes a while, I might skip ahead with the video just a bit. And at long last, we're done. All right, so let's do this. Let's do test play, and we're going to set serial to the same as the forks. So we're going to set serial to 5. And let's see what happens. So this is with forks 5 and serial set to 5. All right, so we gather facts for 5, and it looks like it is going through each of the tasks for that 5, then doing the next set of 5 hosts. All right, and I'm going to just cancel out of that because obviously we're not changing anything now. It's just going to be returning the information. So now what I'm curious is, let's say that we set forks to 1. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so forks to 1. So it is it's basically doing one thing, I guess, rather quickly, but in no more than groups of 5 as far as the tasks are concerned. So once it finishes that group of 5, is that exactly what it's doing? Because you're watching this the same time as I, so it's still. The serial 5 is saying do each task for 5 hosts at a time, and then run the task again for the next set of 5 hosts. And then the forks 1 is saying maybe to spawn only a single process at a time. That's kind of odd. I'm not sure if you would ever have a situation where you would configure this. So let's stop here. Let's do one more. So we're going to go back into our test play, and we're going to do serial 20 and then fork 20. And so this pretty much should match. Basically, if I were to do forks 20 and no serial, let's go back into test play and get rid of the serial line. This should have pretty much the same behavior, I would expect, at least. Yeah, so I guess the managing parallelism part of this would be more of, if you have a task that is saying you want to iterate through the playbook with every X amount of hosts are going to have all of the tasks done, and then the next set of hosts you would be using serial for that. And I guess the idea behind that is, let's say that you're managing something that if all of the hosts were to go down simultaneously, so let's say that one of the tasks causes a reboot to have happen, then that might be a problem if they all go down simultaneously. So serial allows you to control the number of hosts that are going to be going through all the tasks at the same time. Whereas the forks seem more like it is controlling the total number of connections at a time that your Ansible control node is going to do. I think I have that right. This is something that I'm not going to consider this like a complete fail for managing parallelism, but I definitely do want to go back and review the difference between forks and serial just to make 100% sure that I have it right in my head prior to the exam. So I hope my travels through parallelism have been useful for you. If it was, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you do click like. Also, thank you to returning subscribers for watching another video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click the subscribe button and ring the bell so you can be notified of when new content comes available. Also, feel free to leave comments, ask questions, give critique, give praise. It is all good. I'll respond as I have both time and ability, and as my time tends to become less and less, then that affects how much I can respond, but I'll respond as much as I can. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.